Hello again.
Hi.
Here we are back. And we wanted to lead off today, just kind of segueing in from last week. We shared last week about how many people have experienced so many incredible results as a result of shifting their diet and lifestyle to a whole food plant-based plan.
Yeah.
And we listened to an interesting short 4-minute video with Dr. Greger this morning that was quite interesting in that he pointed out that even though there's so much research behind the ability of reversing and eliminating so much chronic disease in our society with whole food plant-based diet, that it hasn't really caught on. And he points out that it's basically that there's no profit to be made in promoting whole foods. And he was showing how really the value of, like, broccoli is in a lot of the little ingredients that research has discovered, but that taking supplements of just this isolated ingredient doesn't produce the same results as just eating the broccoli.
Eating the whole food.
Eating the whole food.
Yeah.
I loved it. I think he said something like, the magic of the broccoli is in the broccoli. It's in the whole food. And that's what we've been promoting, of course, for so many years now, 30 years.
And I want to interrupt you a minute because I think it is really catching on. You know, these days, today, people are really opening to plant-based whole food for the first time.
Yeah, it's great. Like when we had a restaurant in the 90s, we were out on the edge. And now the word vegan is like a household term.
Yeah,
Pretty
true.
much everyone knows what that is,
Yeah,
whereas
true.
it is catching on. That's really great. I think Greger's point was that we've had this available for so long,
Yeah,
and yet
that's
there's
true.
still so much suffering. And it's simply because the research and the marketing behind, sharing with us what will give us what we're looking for has all come from profits from a company, which makes sense. A company, it needs profit to exist, and so it uses kind of that reductionist theory that if we can find the active ingredient, put it in a pill, we can sell it, make a profit, and go from there. And we feel it's a lot simpler than that. So that being said, one of the pushbacks that we sometimes get from people when we first start is it's too restrictive. I could never give up my coffee, my cheese, all the inflammatory things that are creating the problems they want to be without. But we're so attached to what we are doing, our habits.
True.
And so what we feel is a big part of the success we have with our clients with this program is that there's really no restriction. We point out from the get-go that you eat whatever you want, but get really present and see what's going on. Because in a way, I see it's kind of like driving on the correct side of the road. I'm going to say the right side of the road because here in Canada we drive on the right side, but some countries they drive on the left side. So we all know there's a correct side of the road to drive on, but nobody's making us drive there. We have the freedom to cross the road anytime we want, cut a corner, roll a stop, do anything. But common sense keeps us on the correct side of the road.
True.
And so that's what we find with working with our clients. When we have the freedom to have whatever we want, and we get really present with what we're eating. When we eat inflammatory foods, or foods that don't really nourish us deeply, our bodies register that. It's kind of like getting sideswiped, right? When I met Connie, I had all this pain, and I was eating a lot of dairy. And she said, leave the dairy alone. I go, why should I do that? Everybody tells me it has nothing to do with what I'm eating. Of course, that's changed, and there's a lot more awareness now that cheese and dairy is inflammatory and can create this kind of pain. But anyway, I was willing to try it. And in trying it, it became very clear there is a relationship here. I suddenly discovered the correct side of the road. And it was easy then not to want to drive on the other side of the road. And I would still have a pizza now and then, or I would have a melted grilled cheese sandwich. I mean, those were favorites. But when I got really present, I saw that they were favorites because they fed something from here up instead of from here down. And it just became easier and easier to stay on the correct side of the road. I stopped sideswiping myself.
Well, the thing is, the body thrives with anti-inflammatory foods, with plant-based whole foods. And when you try that for a time, you really get connected to your body's wisdom. And it speaks quite clearly as to what is the most beneficial, self-nurturing food that we can eat. And it gets easier and easier. And there are no restrictions, because when you go for something that's inflammatory, we encourage you to get really present and hear your body's response after you've eaten it. And it just unwinds itself to eat those foods that don't support thriving.
Right, and so I think another key is learning to become sensitive to when life is really giving us a nudge to move towards something that's really nurturing us, and when we have the experience of like an urge to eat a certain food. There's a difference.
From a habit, from an old memory, from an old doing it again and again and again.
Yeah, it's for me, I know when I have a nudge to eat something that's nourishing, it's just free. It's just like, yeah, that's what I want. But when there's an urge to eat something, and I don't know, I don't have a lot of, well, we don't have much in the house to really go off track with. But what I will do is sometimes I have this like compulsion, this like urge to have some almonds and cashews with raisins after dinner, and I'm not hungry. And what I see in that is that what I'm doing there is I'm trying to shift something that's some feeling I don't want to feel, as opposed to, oh yeah, that will be really nourishing. It's very different. The nudge that invites me to nourish myself and the urge that is trying to change something, change the way I feel or something.
Yeah. Find relief through food.
Yeah.
Which is that the real purpose of food? I don't think so.
Right.
So if you want to learn more, if you want to experience what we do in this arena, you're welcome to have a free call with us. Just connect with us below in the comment section.
Right. Okay, do we have a recipe this week?
Recipe. We're going to give you a ranch dressing oil free that is really yummy. And it's made with cashews and a bit of sunflower seeds.
Yeah, that'll be good. And we'll put the link to that short Dr. Greger video around whole foods and the value of whole foods versus just isolated active ingredients, supplements.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, see you next week.
Bye.